You didn't think we were done just yet, did you? There is actually one more fight that I need to show in the game. And after Alder, it's gonna feel like a complete anticlimax, but as strange as it seems, you actually can't do this fight until after beating him. It's a weird decision by the developers, but I don't know, I guess it's meant to be an easy experience source, because unlike Cheron, this battle is infinitely repeatable. But we're back in our house from beating the champion, our team is fully healed. I'm going to go ahead and switch Whirlwind in up to the first position. And this actually took me a little while to record, because one, you actually need to do this on very specific days. This person will only battle you on weekends, that is Saturdays or Sundays. And I'm just showing here that your mum says something different if your Pokemon are actually fully healed. But actually, a weird weather transition there, mid-season. Actually flagging this fight turned out to be kind of difficult because I'd never actually done this before. Basically, there are 3 things you need to do. Firstly, you have to have beaten Alder. Secondly, it has to be on a Saturday or Sunday. But there was actually a third thing that I needed to do to flag this fight as accessible that I didn't even realise. The first time you talk to Bianca after beating the game, you get this dialogue right here. I kind of already do, considering they've been all around the electronic bulletin boards. Now, this is completely ridiculous. Don't you just love it in Pokemon games where they give you the option to say no to a tutorial, but even if you do that, they still give it to you anyway? Great game design, that. But anyway, this conversation that Bianca has with you here, it turns out that unless you've actually done the... Okay, she says here every now and then come and have a battle with me. Now, it turns out this is required to flag this fight actually happening. The problem is, the fight won't actually occur if you talk to her again now. But I'm going to show this off first. So you have Cedric Juniper here, and he evaluates your Pokedex based on how many Pokemon in the National Dex that you've caught. Okay, that's a bit of a pointless tip, but alright. Again, I've never cared about Pokedex completion in the slightest, so I don't really care about him. Juniper evaluates... We get a pretty epic fanfare there. Juniper evaluates how many Pokemon we've seen in the Unova Dex. Now, 144 out of 100 out of a little over 150 is quite a lot, so let's see what we're missing. We're missing Thundurus, which is not accessible in our version, so that's one we won't be able to see. That there is Landorus, which we need both Tornadus and Thundurus in order to see, so nothing there. Weirdly enough, I missed seeing Larvesta. For some reason, Zweilous is missing. Volibey and Mandibuzz are there, but that spot there is Rufflet. Sorry for the pause, but I really feel the need to elaborate on Rufflet here. Rufflet, it's actually not possible to see it on Black version without trading. Now, the good news about that is, we actually do get to see Braviary regardless, because Cynthia has one. And here is where Black version, I think, is kind of a little better than White in this regard, because in White version, I don't think any in-game trainer uses a Mandibuzz or a Volibey, or there may have been one in-game trainer with a Volibey, I can't remember, but basically, you don't get to see Mandibuzz at all in White version, whereas you do get to see Braviary in Black version due to Cynthia. You'd think Grimsley would at least have a Mandibuzz, but no, he doesn't. It's kind of weird. But yeah, since no in-game trainer uses it, you actually can't see Rufflet without trading in Black version, so that is kind of, well, really annoying. So, yeah, we get to see Braviary due to Cynthia. Now, up here, we've seen pretty much everything here. The next Pokemon we haven't seen is right here. Now, this one's really interesting. Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn is kind of interesting. No in-game trainer uses Ferrothorn in either version. The only way to even have Ferrothorn as seen is to evolve a Ferroseed of your own. So, because of that, I don't think it's actually possible to have Ferrothorn listed in the Pokedex as seen but not caught, since, again, the only way to see one is to actually own one. This is kind of interesting, and it means that if someone was doing this blind, they wouldn't even know what Ferrothorn looks like unless they evolve Ferroseed, because no one actually uses one. Now, I'm pretty sure in Black and White 2, there is at least one trainer who will use one of these, but it seems a little odd that you have this one Pokemon who'll remain completely mysterious unless you actually evolve one yourself. Yeah, kind of weird that, but that's one of the only major Pokemon we're actually missing here. Actually kind of surprising that we've obtained 91 Pokemon. That's almost 2/3 of them in a playthrough where we're not really... Okay, I want to actually show this for a second. Zorua and Zoroark. Despite the fact that they're technically event Pokemon, N has a Zoroark, and there was a picture of Zorua in Castelia City. You will always be able to register these two as seen. So that's actually pretty good. It means that you can request them off the GTS if GTS wasn't dead now. And, yeah, even if you don't have the events, which is pretty cool. And, ironically, the other two Pokemon that I haven't seen are my starters' 2 evolutions. You get to see all 3 other starters because, well, they're used by the rivals, but as for mine, I would need an absolute ton of rare candies in order to see them in a no experience run, so chances are I'm never going to see them. Technically speaking, I should have seen 146 Pokemon if this was a normal playthrough, but yeah, and once again, Thundurus and Landorus are the ones I'm missing down there, so that's just a rundown of the Pokedex. I don't think you get anything for seeing all of them, but it's nice to know. Once again, freezing the action here to elaborate on something. Now, like I said, that conversation with Bianca, I really should have done it the moment that I started the postgame, because the battle won't actually flag until you've seen that conversation, and once she's done that conversation for one day, you've lost your opportunity to battle her until the next day. So I actually have to wait a day in order for this to actually register and for me to be able to battle Bianca. It was Sunday when I recorded this, and that's a problem, because the next day would be Monday, and thus I'd have to wait another week to be able to battle her. So I set my clock ahead a week. So what you're about to see now is I actually saved, reset, and by the time you see the game next, I've actually set my clock a week ahead. And with all that done, you'll know that Bianca is battleable if she says this. And you get the option to accept or decline, so we're going to accept. So it's our last battle of the no experience run. Once again, a callback to the beginning of the game, and here we go. Again, it's not all that challenging. Despite the fact that you have to have beaten Alda in order to battle her, she is a lot weaker than he is, as you're about to see by the level of her first Pokemon. She is more on par with Chera. Now, unlike Chera, you can actually battle her whenever you want. Oh, well, provided it's a weekend. She is infinitely rematchable, unlike Chera, who only ever get to battle once. Intimidate could be bad, but if I set up a Cotton Ice Fang. Yeah, sorry, Whirlwind. That was embarrassing. I was worried that it might have Ice Fang, but I was thinking, nah, probably only has Fire and Thunder Fang. But of course it had Ice Fang. I doubt it has much that can do anything to Metagross though, so I'm going to go for a... Wild Charge could be a little painful. Now, I'm going to use this battle because it's not all that hard, and I'm honestly not going to not use Kyurem and Volcarona because really, this battle is not meant to be that difficult. It's meant to be just a fun battle, so I really feel fine using my uber-powered Pokemon. Now, I'm going to go ahead and explain something here that I never got a chance to explain all game, because I only knew about it kind of recently. Take careful note of the Pokemon flashing when they get hit by attacks. Look very closely. And I'm going to have to switch out of this Chandelier. I had a feeling she'd be setting this in, because now if I still had Earthquake, I might have been able to take this thing out in one shot. I went for Rock Slide just to hope for that or a flinch, but nope, then I'm going to get overheated. Now watch carefully. Watch how Metagross flashes when hit by this move. Did you notice that? Now, remember how the Pokemon flashed when hit by physical moves earlier. You might want to rewind the video a little bit and look at that. I apologise to those who already know this, but I never knew this for a long time, and I find this very interesting. Oh, this is bad, because my best moves against this thing are quad resisted. I'm not going to use Flamethrower on the chance this might have Flash Fire. Return, okay. Return seems to be a bit of a signature move of Bianca. A lot of her Pokemon seem to have it. Oh, of course she would use a Full Restore. Probably going to have to switch out now because, again, my best move is quad resisted, and I really don't want to risk using a fire move just in case it has flash fire. I have a feeling that it actually doesn't have flash fire, but it might. But anyway, back to what I was saying. Something about this game that's actually kind of hard to notice, but it's a really cool touch. When Pokemon are hit by special moves, they flash white. When they're hit by physical moves, they flash black. Look at that, see, white. I never knew this for a long time, and it feels a bit weird me not knowing that considering this is my favourite Pokemon game. But it's a nice touch and it's kind of cool. It's pretty hard to notice, but yeah. Pokemon flash white when hit with special moves and flash black when hit with physical moves. Anyway, now which monkey Bianca has will of course depend on what starter she had. Although I don't think that changes the rest of her team. She still has Chandelure regardless, and ouch, that could be... Oh, if that had flinched, I might have been in trouble, but, come on, please go down. Thank you, okay. It's not like the rival in Red, Blue, and Yellow, where the rest of his team changes based off of his starter. No, Bianca will always use Chandelure regardless. It's only her monkey that changes. So I'm going to go into Hemingway expecting a high jump kick or something, and I get Drain Punch. Well, I was actually kind of expecting Acrobatics, that's why I switched. I'm wondering about whether I should go for Trick Room. Acrobatics would have been painful to Volcarona, but, I don't know, like, maybe. I'm not entirely sure what I was expecting, but Drain Punch wasn't it. Definitely expecting at least high jump kick. But gonna go ahead and switch in the Bug type to resist the Drain Punch. Just don't switch moves all of a sudden, that would be really weird. Okay, she's still going to Drain Punch, that's good. Just don't use Acrobatics. Whatever you do, don't use Acrobatics. Okay, this should take it out. Me and Shao are not known for being bulky. This thing should go down in one hit. Or not. Okay, that's weird. Didn't expect that. Ooh, close one. Okay, don't have a priority move. I don't think it has any priority moves apart from Fake Out anyway, so... Goodbye, Mian Xiao. She hasn't actually used her starter yet, and of course she'd use it now, Samurott. And I definitely have to get out of here because I don't want to be taking water moves, so... Getting out, going into Kyurem. Samurott has a fairly wide move pool. That's kind of a shame. Samurott's one of those Pokemon that, and I don't know why you went with X-Scissor and not... Overall resisted that, it's kind of weird. Sometimes the AI likes to use different moves when you're on low HP to sort of either conserve PP or expect a switch, but it's kind of weird when it happens sometimes. Anyway, Samurott could really benefit from a Mega Evolution, like, I mean, seriously. Oh, one of those Pokemon that really suffer from cool design, yet kind of bad syndrome. I still think that Gen 6 starters are hands down the worst in the entire series from a gameplay standpoint, but I mean, they can kind of get the job done. And I realise I haven't used Bones in this fight, so I'm going to go ahead and switch her in. Hopefully, it'll do some kind of Psychic move and be no effect. Yawn, okay. Now, I could make use of this. If I Toxic this thing and it has Synchronize, Toxicking myself will actually prevent me from falling asleep due to Yawn. Hopefully. Unfortunately, it didn't have Synchronize, so, yeah. Either that, or Yawn's sleep has already been applied to me, and so it won't let me get another status until Yawn goes off. I'm really not sure how Yawn works in that case, if you get status, like, again before you fall asleep with Yawn. But I had the feeling that if I did trip Synchronize and get poisoned, then I wouldn't have fallen asleep with Yawn. But if this thing doesn't have Synchronize, it's got an ability that's useless for single battles, so I feel kind of bad for Bianca there. I actually saw someone use quite a good, remember the VGC back when Black and White first came out that was only Unova Pokemon? Man, I love that format. Samurott was actually useful there, surprisingly. I used one in a Tailwind team. But anyway, I versed someone who used cool Telepathy Bushana Quake Edge team. It was, I mean, not Quake Edge, Disquake, that's what it's called. Quake Discharge. It was on things like Landorus and Thunderous and things like that, and Electros, I think, as well. And he had a Bushana to come in and block its allies' move with Telepathy. It's also a pretty decent ability on Noivern, because it means it doesn't have to worry about its partners discharging it or things like that. Yeah, telepathy is actually not a bad ability in doubles or triples, but again, completely useless in singles, so don't use it on any singles team. But with that, Bianca has been defeated, and that is our last opponent in this challenge. Again, you can battle Bianca, I think, any time after this. So, yeah, that is it, basically. That's pretty much all I have to show, but there is one more thing that I'm going to do. One more thing before I sign off. Yeah, it actually feels kind of weird recording this, like, it's kind of sad knowing this playthrough is almost at the end. I mean, this is pretty much going to be the last part. But, hey, no true words have ever been spoken from Bianca, and I say we end this adventure the way it started. We started for taking our first steps onto Route 1, let's go ahead and take our last steps onto Route 1, after talking to Mum. Now, I've noticed something kind of interesting here. I actually had 2 recording attempts of this because one of them crashed. Your mum actually says different things at the end of this conversation. It's kind of weird. She said this. The other time, she asked me if I was taking care of my Pokemon. That's kind of interesting. I didn't know that she did that. But I'm going to go ahead and use a Repel because I don't want to be interrupted by Patrats, and I never use my Master Ball. Now, part of me was considering chucking away the Master Ball just as a last-minute joke thing because I am not going to use this. You know what, I'll just keep it as a trophy. It's kind of weird. I've rarely ever used my Master Balls in my Pokemon games lately, except on Shinies. Like, I find using Master Balls on Legendaries just kills the challenge. So, I never use them anymore. They just gather dust in my bag for the whole game. But anyway, let's step across Route 1 for the final time. Well, I guess we already know that by now. Was this the same, season that I started the journey in? Oh, I love the blowing leaves, though. They're actually different in every season. It's pretty cool. And we hit Accumulatown. I don't know why, but I love this city. Mostly due to the music. I just really, really like this music. Mainly because of this. Yeah, go ahead. Play your favorite tune one last time. And awesome drummer guy. Oh, I love this music so much. Like, it's actually one of my favorite town themes in the history of Pokemon, this. It's just so amazing. Back when we first met N, heard Lord Dennis give his speech, where he was definitely not a villain. Repel wore off for some reason. Yeah, it's silly, but I love how easy it is to make the main character dance to that music. And so, one last thing that I wanted to show. If we go to records here... You know what? I don't know what this does. Okay, all you have is mailbox. They've got rid of the item storage in the PC, so the player's PC seems kind of pointless now. But if we check records, we actually have 2 this time. We have first game clear as well as first Hall of Fame. So, let's relive the members who won me the final battle against the Dark Lord Dennis. We have Excadrill, who, seriously, without you, I would not have got through Caitlyn. Egogi the Gothitelle, yes, I deliberately mispronounced it, who was amazing with Thunderwave and screens. Oh, this Cobalion was... The way you took out Curem, just seriously, despite being so many levels lower. Gal, you were great. That Rain Dance proved surprisingly useful against Chantal. Greenblade proved to be probably one of the most offensive of the Musketeers, due to me getting an adamant nature. Terrakion, that Rock Gem Rock Slide combo to take out that Chandelure was just amazing. Overall, it's kind of annoying being forced to rely on so many fighting types, but my early team served me well. I mean, my first clear team served me well, but let's go ahead and look at my Hall of Fame team. So, we have the dual screen setup Bronzong. The amazingly good tank Commander Buzz. Like, really, I did not expect her to be such a good tank. Seriously, so amazing. We have Whirlwind, the one who never really got to set up too many Dragon Dances, but Cotton Guard proved useful regardless. Delete! Oh man, Agility Metagross, just so good. If only you'd missed less with Meteor Mash, though. Ignis Volcaronov, seriously, the post-game would not be possible without you. Amazing. If a little bit broken, I will admit. And Curem. Again, I will never underestimate Glaciate again. That was so useful. And you see, originally, I was going to leave it at this. This was going to be the end, and I would have just said see you all next time. But when I was actually exiting this, I realized something about my game that I actually hadn't shown yet, so I'm going to have to go ahead and show this. And while I did this, I also found out about something else that I had forgotten to show. Huh? What was that jingle for? Oh, right! The 4 wallpapers you get for beating the game are not all of the unlockable wallpapers you can get. For defeating Aldo the champion, we actually get 4 additional special wallpapers. So let's go ahead and show them. They're in, I thought they were in Misc, but they're actually in Special. So these are the 4 you get for beating the main game. But for beating the post-game, you get Muna. I guess the girl outside of Rock Tunnel would appreciate that one. Zoroark, which looks very cool, I will admit. This is probably my favourite of these. Subway, which is the route map that never actually gets used in-game because the trains don't actually go anywhere. And Musical, which looks pretty much how you'd expect. I'll go ahead and go with Zoroark because that's probably the main one I like out of these. But anyway, one other thing that I forgot to show is something interesting about the PC system. You might notice that we have 8 boxes. 8 times 30 lets us store 240 Pokemon. But wait, that's nowhere near enough to hold all the Pokemon in the National Dex. But there's a way you can fix that. If every one of your boxes holds at least 1 Pokemon, which I was only missing 1, so I'll just go ahead and do that, you go out of the PC and then go back in again. Something interesting happens. This was the thing that I'd forgotten to show. I'd somehow forgotten about this. We now have 16 boxes. 8 new boxes have been added, letting us store a grand total of 480 Pokemon. That is pretty awesome, but still not enough to store all the Pokemon in the National Dex. But we can do the same process again. The controls are a little weird sometimes, but if we make sure that every one of these 16 boxes now holds 1 more Pokemon, which might take a little while, during which I can explain that the reason for this system is so that the saving time is quicker in this game. One of the main complaints about Gen 4 is that saving took ages. Game Freak found a perfectly logical solution to this, which was, why save data for boxes that don't have Pokemon in them? And basically just by having you gradually unlock the boxes as you use them, and that should be enough, they don't have to save data for boxes that aren't unlocked yet. Now, this does mean that while you can unlock all the PC boxes at the beginning of the game, doing so will lengthen your load time, so maybe not a good idea. But anyway, we now have 24 boxes, which lets us hold, I believe, 720 Pokemon. That's way more than we actually need for the Pokedex, so breeders rejoice, you have a lot of space. And with that, that is the last thing that I wanted to show. So, with that, the Pokemon Black No Experience run has officially come to a close. And so I thought that I'd just give my final thoughts on the project. This has been interesting. Playing through the game on a No Experience challenge was actually incredibly fun and a very unique experience. No horrible 4Kids pun intended. But I'm going to split my final thoughts into 3 sections. Thoughts on the challenge and this project as a whole, thoughts on the game, and what I'm going to be doing next. So, the challenge. No Experience is a very unique breed of challenge, and it's something that I would highly encourage more people to do. It's really weird though, because it seems like this challenge is not publicised very much. Back when I first recorded this, I was convinced that I was the only one who'd ever done something like this on YouTube. Turns out I actually wasn't. If you want to see another No Experience challenge, and see how someone else fought a few of the bosses, go and check out Moogle Boss's channel here on YouTube. Now, Moogle Boss is someone who I'd actually known about before. They've actually done some really good challenges in other games, such as Final Fantasy Tactics and even Fire Emblem. And they've got, yeah, some quite good challenges up on YouTube, so they're a pretty interesting person as far as challenges go. And it's good to see that this challenge is, you know, being accepted by people like that, because that's kind of good. Thing is, though, they only showed the actual boss fights, and I'm pretty sure, I think I can say in good confidence, that my run of this game is the only full playthrough of Pokemon Black version with the No Experience challenge. And I really think that it is a good idea to show this, because while just seeing the boss fight is okay, and if you want to see some different strategies for the bosses, go ahead and check out his videos. He actually did quite a few of the opponents quite differently to me. I deliberately avoided watching them because I wanted to make sure that my strategies were all my own and weren't influenced by anyone else. But he did things quite a bit differently in a few cases. Particularly his use of a level 5 Cottony with Prankster against Getsus. That was interesting. The weird thing was, I had considered doing that for the final boss of Black 2, but not for this game. I don't know why it didn't occur to me. But back to before, I find that actually going through the game itself normally, I like that because you get to see the thing that you do in No Experience Challenge. No Experience Challenges are really all about catching Pokemon. Every time you enter a new area, you need to catch Pokemon there. You have to catch them at the highest possible level. You need to keep catching new stuff to replace your old team members. It's very much focused on the catching, and it's quite an interesting type of challenge. It's something of the opposite to a Nuzlocke in that your team members are really not going to be useful for very long, and as such, you might not get attached to your Pokemon as much, because very often you have to retire them pretty early because they're just kind of not really all that useful. Being said, you definitely do get attached to some Pokemon. I know in this challenge, the ones that pull off just amazing feats against things many times their own level. Dan the Dog Slayer from early in the run, the level 10 Roggenrola who took down Lenora's Herdier and another Herdier despite them being 10 levels higher than it. Wow, seriously amazing. That if you like Yamask that I would not have beaten Clay without, my whole Elite Four team, so many amazing heroes emerge from this run, so I honestly do think you still get attached to some of your Pokemon in challenges like this. But the problem is, I just don't feel this challenge gets the love that it really deserves. Now, I know that I don't really get a lot of views anyway, but for some reason, my videos for this particular challenge have got very low views, even compared to the stuff that I normally get. Is really no one that interested in No Experience challenges? Are they that unpopular? Or are Nuzlocks that mainstream? To me, it just feels annoying that Nuzlocks are often the only accepted challenge for Pokemon. And while Nuzlocks are all well and good and kind of fun to watch, I wanted to do something different. Also, I kind of dislike the idea of Nuzlocks in general for reasons that I've already explained at the beginning of this series, but in short, too much luck involved, and adding in death to Pokemon goes against the creator's wishes. So I know that I didn't want to do a Nuzlocke challenge, and I felt that this would be something interesting. I just wish that more people knew about this, because if you want to challenge yourself, I highly recommend No Experience. It's very fun and very challenging. The problem with doing it on just the regular Black, though, is it's surprisingly easy early on, and doesn't get difficult until much later. Clay is probably the first who's a real challenge, and he's probably the hardest out of all 8. Skylar is totally pathetic by comparison, Bryson goes down easy, and even Drayden is actually pretty easy. And then you get to the Elite Four. The weird thing about this challenge is the difficulty spikes enormously at the very end of the game. The Elite Four, N, and Getsus are harder than the entire rest of the challenge combined. And that could easily turn off a lot of people. Now, this is mostly due to the fact that there actually aren't that many viable Pokemon available for taking them on. The highest level you can catch in the wild, realistically, is about 42, and they go up to 54, so you're going to be very far behind them. Not only that, but there's not much variety in the types you can actually get, so you're forced to use the 3 Musketeers, which all have a lot of shared weaknesses, and that results in Caitlyn being incredibly brutal. Anon gets us as well. The sheer amount of type coverage their team has, you're really forced to either do something like use a Cottony or cheap out with X items in order to beat them. Honestly, Anon gets us felt really unsatisfying, but I get the feeling that the champion in Black and White 2 is not going to be that bad, because there's a much greater variety of high-level Pokemon you can actually catch before them. Generally, you can get level 55s before the champion in Black and White 2, so I think that's going to be a little bit better. There's quite a bit of a variety of level 55s you can catch too, so I'm looking forward to that when I do decide to cover it. The post-game, though, I find is really where this challenge gets interesting. Technically, you can just Quiver Dance sweep everything with Volcarona, but hey, where's the fun in that? If you don't do that, Cynthia and even Alda are actually quite a challenge. Even Morimoto caught me off guard the first time, because I didn't expect him to be as difficult as he was. I quite enjoyed the post-game, and the thing is, I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one who's actually done the post-game No Experience, because I know that Moogle Boss specifically said that he was not going to do that. So, hey, I guess that's something. But anyway, that's enough about the challenge itself. The challenge itself was only half of why I decided to do this project. The other half was, as I have already mentioned countless times, Black and White are still my favourite games in the entire Pokemon series. Sorry, X and Y, you really did not put up enough of a fight to dethrone them. Seriously. I could spend an entire video gushing about Black and White and the reasons why they're my favourites, but I've probably already explained enough of that in the videos themselves. But I'll just sum it up like this. Black and White were the first new Pokemon games since Gold and Silver that truly felt new to me. It really felt like they were going out of their way to make a fresh new start for the series, and the series desperately needed that. Ruby and Sapphire were alright, but Diamond and Pearl were really the point where the formula was starting to wear thin for me, and for a lot of other fans too. I know that I'm not alone in having Diamond and Pearl as my least favourite games in the series, even though I admit that a lot of younger fans did have them as their first games. It's just that, to me, there was just something about them that felt really lacking. Black and White brought that back. They actually felt new for the first time ever, and again, the Pokemon series really needed that. And then, of course, X and Y decides to chuck that all out the window for the sake of pandering to the Gen 1ers. Yay for progressing forward! Yeah, anyway, I'll just kind of stop going on about that, because I don't really like negativity anyway, but... So, yeah. That's basically all I'll say. For that reason, though, I decided to make this as complete a playthrough as possible. This wasn't just a challenge, this was a full run of the game, and I wanted to show everything. Even the things that I never actually did on my original run through Black and White. Just, you know, Challenger's Cave and the Elite Four Round 2 and quite a few other things. This, I believe, I wanted this to be a complete playthrough, and I believe the only things that I haven't shown are events, and well, they're events, so no point in showing them now, they're all gone, and the Battle Subway. Now, it's not that I don't want to show the Battle Subway or that I don't like it, it's just that, really, getting through as many matches as it would take to get to the actually challenging versions of Ingo and Emmett would take an absurd amount of luck in a No Experience challenge. Having to go in, I don't think your Pokemon are raised to level 50, so having to go in with just lower level Pokemon, and having to go for a 50 win streak in Super, I really doubt I could ever pull that off. In fact, let me just confess something, I've never even reached the 50 win streak Ingo and Emmett in a normal playthrough, with actual EV trained Pokemon. Yeah, that's how bad my luck is. Never even come close. But, yeah, I feel that I would not be able to do it here, so I'm not going to go ahead and show that. But other than that, I really feel like I've shown everything there is to see in these games, and, well, I wanted to do that because, well, I love these games. So, third part, what's next for me? Well, this was supposed to be the first Pokemon playthrough that I finished. Turned out to be the X-Blind run, because, well, that kind of came out unexpectedly. But, well, I do want to do more Pokemon stuff here in the future, considering that Pokemon is tied with Fire Emblem as my favourite game series of all time. Question, will there be more No Experience runs? Definitely. Of course, I will be doing Black and White 2 Challenge Mode No Experience. Sharon is going to be a complete and utter nightmare, but I don't really care. I still get the feeling that Sharon is going to be the single hardest thing in that entire run if I do get around to doing that, but I might wait a little bit to do that one though, because I kind of want to do some stuff that isn't Pokemon for a little bit first. Now, it is technically possible to do other games in this series No Experience. Except there it does require hacking. Something that I forgot to mention was, I was wondering whether maybe the reason for No Experience challenges not being that popular was due to it, technically requiring ROMs and sort of being illegal. Apparently, and I have this on good authority, as long as you don't crack the anti-piracy measures, as in don't fix the No Experience thing, playing this is totally legal. Again, as long as you don't... Okay, basically, the illegal thing is cracking the anti-piracy measures. If you're playing a ROM that does that, that is illegal and you should feel bad about it. But if you're playing one of these ROMs for the sake of challenging yourself, playing with the No Experience limitation on, that's actually perfectly legal as far as I can tell, so there really shouldn't be any legal trouble from advertising challenges like this. When I do get around to Black and White 2, I may actually advertise the run on a forum, just to expose the No Experience challenge to more people, because I really feel that it should be recognised a bit more. It really doesn't help that most of the related videos on my things are all about how to fix this experience patch. Yay, I'm a dirty pirate. But anyway, I digress. Now, while, Black and White 2 I will be able to do, earlier games, technically it is possible to do their No Experience, but it does require using GameShark codes. Now, Noogle Boss actually did do quite a few earlier games on No Experience challenges. Well, technically, it's actually one experience. You can't actually disable experience gain completely, but you can use codes to modify it so that every Pokemon in the game only gives you one experience. And with that, your Pokemon generally will never level up at all, so it's pretty much the same as No Experience. So I might want to do that. Now, originally I was considering doing Emerald like this, because Emerald was actually my favourite game in the series for a long time. For those of you who aren't aware, my favourite goes, at the moment it's Black and White, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, then Emerald. Black and White 2 gets an honourable mention though. The thing is though, two problems with that. One, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are coming out, so it feels a little bit redundant to do a Hoenn game now that we're getting new ones. And two, Pokemon Emerald has been Let's Played to death lately. Just about every major person who I've watched has done Emerald. Marilyn did Emerald, Chugga Conroy did Emerald, even Royal Mithril, who doesn't normally do Pokemon games, did Emerald. I mean, I guess that shows that a lot of people like it, which is good, but yeah, that game really has been done to death, and I really don't feel like I could do enough new with it, so I might be cancelling any plans for that. Heart Gold, though. I would very much like to do Heart Gold, since I really love that game. In my opinion, Heart Gold and Soul Silver are to Pokemon what Heroes of Light and Shadow is to Fire Emblem. An example of how to do a remake right. And I would really love to do a full playthrough of those games, but doing it No Experience would be very interesting. The levels are a bit lower in Johto, but so are they for the wild Pokemon. I'm not even sure if it would actually be harder because there's no dark grass or things like that, so that would be interesting. So I might be thinking about that sometime in the future, a Heart Gold No Experience run. Other than that though, other things with Pokemon games, Colosseum, I have recorded a full playthrough of that. I'm not going to be posting that for a while because I'm still a bit bitter about what happened with that. And will I do anything for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire? It depends. It depends whether I can afford an American copy of the game for recording, but maybe. I have some slight ideas of maybe doing something with that. It wouldn't be a blind run because, well, you can't really do a blind run of a remake because, well, you already know what everything is anyway. But I might be thinking about maybe something for that, so maybe. Don't get your hopes up, but maybe. As for other Pokemon games, I guess I'll just say this now. I would absolutely love to do Conquest. Conquest is a combination of Pokemon and turn-based strategy. Of course, I would absolutely love to do that game. Conquest, yeah. Not only would I be able to actually cover that game in full, but I would be able to get to give full historical profiles of all the warlords as well. I would honestly love doing that. Just one problem. Conquest would be an enormous undertaking. The sheer number of post-game storylines, I would be compelled to do them all, and I would also feel compelled to get every single warlord evolution. And that requires registering a whole lot of things in the Pokédex, so I may get around to Conquest one day, but that would take a very long time, trust me, so maybe not so much. For the time being, though, I might go back to some other projects for a bit. But you'll see those when you see them. So, until then, this is Big Clingy, signing off. You didn't think I created that PC hacking system for nothing, did you? Now I, Lord Dennis, will take what is rightfully mine.